So I've been in the consumer financial space for about the last 14 years. I've helped over 30,000 people eliminate about $1 billion, just under $1 billion or so of unsecured debt. And it's interesting as you really look at culture, and I think about the last 14-year history. My team members have had hundreds of thousands of consultations and phone calls. And the reality is that it hasn't gotten any better. As a matter of fact, it's only gotten worse. And we're a culture that's been so controlled and manipulated and truly programmed by multiple facets of finance. And if you look at credit card debt, as a matter of fact, it was a social experiment in the 1950s. Google the Fresno drop. That's when Bank of America or Bank Card, they dropped like 50,000, I think, or so people an actual credit card or in the mail, a bank card, first time. And this became a social experiment where they created a financial instrument, purchasing instrument, which is what it morphed into today, where it's amortized in a way that's similar to a home mortgage, right? Like you're making these minimum payments and nothing's going towards principal. And they create the minimum payment where it's about 3%, 2.5%, 3% of the minimum debt, and program people that they're making a payment and it's actually doing something. Where anybody who actually has common sense and looks at their bill and looks at the fact the balance isn't going down understands that they're in this cycle of bondage. But the reality with all this is it's all been fabricated and now gamified, linked to a credit score. And at the end of the day, credit score is a moot point. Credit score is no indication of financial health. It's an indication of your ability to consistently make payments. We talk to people all the time that have massive amount of secured debt and they have $30, $40, $50, $60,000 of unsecured credit card debt, but they got a 720 credit score. And Credit Karma even pings your phone and lets you know how great you're doing and how wonderful you are. But the reality is their financial health is despondent because they're in this cycle of high interest, unsecured, predatory debt. As a matter of fact, is truly legal usury. Like if you study all of human history, the way that a credit card not only accumulates interest, the interest amount, the way that they amortize the payments, it's usury. And in all human history would be considered usury. But we live in a culture where we've been completely programmed to just live with apathy with it and accept it. And then also, of course, you've got discipline issues and that kind of stuff, and trauma and challenges happen in people's lives. So debt isn't necessarily something that you can always avoid. You really can if you're, if you really focus, but sometimes things happen, right? So what's the reality with it? What the challenge is we have people that are content staying in debt, and they're taking the number one opportunity to create financial security, investment, to create a cash flow they control versus the bank controlling it, and they're taking that and they're throwing away their wealth, their ability to create wealth. And whatever that might be. And for some people, it's a $5,000 emergency fund that most people don't even have, right? But at the end of the day, if we live in a cycle of bondage to unsecured debt and never draw on a line in the sand to do something about it, you become conditioned, and you're like the ostrich with the head in the sand, who allows you and your family to sit in a position of risk and bondage to the banks. So my challenge to people that have unsecured debt, if you don't have the ability to eliminate that debt right now or in the next 3 to 5 months, max, like literally write a check, you should be getting with somebody to identify a path that's most efficient and effective to eliminate your unsecured debt. And in my belief, that's working in a federally regulated settlement program to get out of debt for less than what you owe, no longer pay interest, increase your cash flow immediately, and to put yourself in position of where your finances, where your cash flow is going, versus the bank determining where your cash flow is going. If you owe $30,000 of debt and you're paying the minimums, and you never use the card again, but all you do is pay the minimum and you follow their amortization schedule, you're going to pay $110,000 back on average, depending on your interest rate. Think about that. And most people will use the card, and they'll pay more, but it's the amount they used. So that balance never goes down. So I'm on a mission to continue to beat the drum and work with families to help eliminate their unsecured debt and position their families for greater financial freedom. Keep charging, make it a great day.